Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Kensico Dam Plaza here in Valhalla, New York, in the county of Westchester. And we are here in front of the Westchester County Memorial for September 11th, The Rising. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here and joining us for our 9th annual Serve and Remember 9/11 event. My name is Valerie Mason Cunningham, and I am the chair of the board for Volunteer New York. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you this afternoon. And what a beautiful afternoon it is. And we are here with many dignitaries, including our County Executive George LATIMER, and our major sponsor, Robeson, as well as our Westchester County Board Chair of Legislators. We are also here with members of the community and our partners that serve for volunteerism across the county. As we launch today our 9th annual county-wide Community Action Day of 9/11 service, Serve and Remember, I want to just say everybody can volunteer, and it's easy to do with volunteernewyork.org. To provide more of the purpose and on the program details is our Executive Director of New York Volunteer New York. Please welcome to the podium, Elisa Keston.
Thank you, Valerie, and thank you everyone for being here. This would not be possible each year without the help and encouragement from so many wonderful friends and partners that, starting with our committed board members like Valerie, who you met, who's joined today by other board members of Volunteer New York, Felix Tapia, Rosemary Burns, Joanne Kirkpatrick, Susan Kirshner, and Lou Koflewitz. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to volunteer at the board level, and we have many who do that all throughout the 3 counties we serve. You will soon get a chance to hear directly from some key supporters who make 9/11 Serve and Remember possible. I'd like to quickly recognize some other friends who illustrate how volunteerism brings together all sectors, the business sector, the government sector, and the nonprofit sector, to create resilient communities. There's New York State Assemblyman standing behind me, David Buchwald, Perla Arellano, representing State Senator Shelley Mayer. Empire City Casino is welcomed back as an event sponsor for this event, and K-Love is back as our media sponsor. From sponsor Westchester Medical Center Health Network, we are joined by Rosemary Burns, Tara Marquise, and Carol Weiss-Stauder. Thanks to Tara Saunders from TD Bank, who's representing the Westchester Bankers Association, and they're a project supporter. We have folks from so many nonprofit partners that are included among the 35 nonprofits that will benefit from the volunteer service of 9/11 projects, including, but not only, AFIA Foundation, Courtney's Tie Drive, the Westchester Parks Foundation, Sarah Lawrence College Center for Urban River at BZAC, the Junior League of Central Westchester, the Westchester County Diaper Bank, and so much more. In planning this year's event, we have been so fortunate to once again work with the great communications team from Westchester County, including Catherine Chiaffi, Communications Director, and the multimedia dynamic duo, Carl Pagano and Chelsea Pagano. And by we, I absolutely don't mean I. Kudos to Nicole Lawrence, who's the ringmaster for 9/11 Community Action Days, and to Tony Fasciano, our communications director, and all our colleagues at Volunteer New York. A few days ago, I had the opportunity to sit and reflect with County Executive George LATIMER regarding this call to action that we do each year, to remember those that we lost. I think that the 9/11 families who worked so hard to get September 11th considered a national day of service and doing good, did so in order to create a legacy for people who will always, always be missed, but must always, always be remembered. And we do that each year by doing good together for our community. Long after there are fewer of us who remember what it felt like, the searing pain it felt like that day to witness it, no matter where we are. Let people who come after us of all ages, all stages, and all abilities instinctively stop on this day and do good for one another. And on September 7th, 8th, and 11th, there are going to be a wide variety of ways that people can give back as individuals, with colleagues, with families, fulfilling needs at 35 different nonprofits. We will have projects benefiting Rockland, Putnam, and Westchester. The majority will be in Westchester because that's where we started. Volunteer New York started 70 years ago, and we've been making connections ever since. And there's no one who knows that better than anyone standing behind me, I think, than County Executive George Latimer, who has been so supportive in a variety of roles over the years. George, I'd love to have you come up now and say a few words.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Valerie. It's a beautiful day to be here. I'm happy to be here with my colleague in government, Ben Boykin, chair of the board, who's going to speak in a few minutes, David Buchwald, our state assemblyman, and all of these other wonderful people who are here. I think for those of us who have a strong, clear remembrance of what happened on that day, it's very hard to put it into any kind of perspective. We all have our own anecdotes and stories. And the story that strikes me most profoundly is the conversation I had with my daughter, Megan. Now, my daughter is now going to celebrate her 34th birthday in a couple of weeks, and she has 2 children of her own, very happily married. But on September 11th, 2001, it was one day before her 16th birthday. And I think any of the women amongst us know that Sweet 16 has a certain emotional pull to young girls. It's a very special day. And when I came home after all the horror that had occurred, that everybody had seen on TV, I walked in and she was in her bedroom and she was utterly broken down in tears and crying. And part of it was the horror of the day, and part of it was that she was on the cusp of a day that meant so much to her personally, and that this tragedy had happened and she knew it would change forever the way she felt about her birthday. I could relate to that personally. The day I turned 10 years old was the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And I remember very well how that affected me as a little 10-year-old kid getting ready to celebrate my own birthday on a day that became national tragedy. But when I sat with her and she was crying in her bedroom, I put my arms around her and I didn't know what to say more than any of us did. Any of us who were alive that day. How do you make any rational sense of horror that cost 3,000 lives, the kind of hatred that could be directed in the way that it was, and the use of technology on a day that almost looks like the same day that morning, to see a plane in the sky, lazily in the sky, to know that that was an instrument of death that used by people that wanted to do that. This program brings some closure to those of us who remember that day personally, which is most of us here, if not all of us here. It brings closure in that it's a way to honor those lives that were lost and those lives that were changed forever that day, to put something positive to attach to what is a horrific negative. To be able to say that those people that day that took 3,000 lives hated human beings and wanted to see them dead. But we take the opposite point of view. We love our fellow human beings, and we realize that people in need deserve our energy, deserve our volunteer effort to help them have a better life. And that is exactly what this Serve and Remember program does. And the brilliant effort that Elisa and Volunteer New York has done in partnership with some wonderful organizations, with Robeson Oil, you're going to hear from David Singer in a second, from the Westchester Medical Center Health Network, all of the different partners that have helped make this happen so that there could be service projects all day long working out of the county center. And the county's happy to be a partner in all of this all across the day of September 11th. We're going to have a blood drive sponsored by the New York Blood Center on Monday, September 11th at the County Center from 9 to 4. Volunteer opportunities include things like notes and cards for deployed service members, creating blankets for children, helping to feed the hungry with sandwich making, packaging diapers for needy families, donating diapers, participating in a community service project, supporting families in emergency shelters, a socks and underwear drive for children in need, the tie drive to support veterans, math kits for elementary school children, a host of things, any one of which may not seem that important, but it's a human statement. It's that we don't accept the tragedy of that day as the final word on September 11th. That we choose to do something to make September 11th mean something different to us by this volunteer service. The organization of this, we thank those that are here, we thank the sponsors, but ultimately, to be involved in this program on that day, and hopefully those who have the discretionary time, it's about what's inside of you, and it's about how you react to this day, and it's about how we understand as Americans that we do not accept tragedy as the final word, but we find a way to respond in a positive light. That is exactly what this program is, and I'm very honored that it falls to me in my capacity in the county to make the county a full and active partner in this effort. With that, I'd like to bring to the microphone David Singer with Robeson Oil. He is the president and CEO of that organization, but I think Elisa probably will have a more formal introduction. So Elisa, why don't I let you introduce David more properly?
Well, George, I know you could have done a great job. I will say that this event is brought to you in partnership. We certainly could not do it as a nonprofit without the county government, and we certainly couldn't do it without the foresight and support of a business like Robeson. What I love about Robeson for the past 9 years, their tagline is the house that service built, and ours is Connect, Serve, Grow. We're both about service, and I'm so pleased that in his capacity and with so much help from others at Robeson, David Singer and the folks on his team have continued to support and help us bring this to the community. So thank you, David.
Thank you very much. You know, Alyssa and I, we got involved in this on the 10th anniversary of 9/11 was the first time that we brought this out 9 years ago. And I think County Executive Latimer captured my sentiments and the reason why Robeson is so connected to this event. You know, we all know when we think about 9/11 and the people that passed, our residents here in the county, the 3,000 other people, and now all the first responders that gave of themselves in service and are now suffering from it. We think about this day on 9/11, everybody knows where they were on that day, and of course you're flooded with all kinds of emotions, whether it's your birthday or the memory of the event itself. And what this day does is exactly what County Executive Latimer said it does. When you get that thought in your head, instead of feeling helpless and hopeless and depressed, you can think of this. You could say, well, this is the day I remember, and this is the day I'm going to do something good and give of yourself for that one day. And then from there, we hope that your volunteerism and efforts continue and you get the bug of giving and helping, which is always contagious. But at least on September 11th, when we all have that vivid memory, it should stimulate the thought that, hey, today I'm going to do something. So I applaud the county and the volunteers and the county legislature, everybody. I mean, we take a simple part of sponsoring. They do all the hard work, and I really want to thank everybody for participating. Thank you.
The other thing that's so important is to be able to get the word out and share with as many people as possible that there is this opportunity. And I have to tell you, whether it's for 9/11 or any other opportunity that Volunteer New York is talking about, we could not do the kind of job we do without the support of the Westchester County Board of Legislators. They share our information and really work hard to make sure that their constituents know that there are ways to give back and get involved. And it's my pleasure to call up the chair of the Board of Legislators, Ben Boykin, who I know himself to be a wonderful volunteer because we get to see him at least once a year when he's reading at the Yonkers Riverfront Library. And it's always a joy. And that's not all he does in the volunteer world. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisa, and thank you, Val, and members of the Board of Volunteer New York. Serve and remember. You know, on behalf of all 17 members of the County Board of Legislators, in partnership with the county executive and his staff, we are very pleased to be here and to work with Volunteer New York. Serve and Remember is so important. We'll do something on September 7th, September 8th, and then on September 11th. And I've already sent out to my constituents and offered to all legislators and e-news. I have the e-news in my pocket, which I know reaches about 7,000 individuals in the county, talking about all the events that you can get involved with, and the county executive has alluded to a lot of those events. There are events in Westchester County, there are events outside of Westchester County, but we should be involved. Service and remember. And we'll never forget, all of us, most of us are at the age that we know where we were on September 11th, 2001. I was leaving the White Plains Post Office and my wife called me and said a plane hit the World Trade Center. I said, I'm coming home and to look. We thought it was a small plane. And then the news began, another plane hit. I thought I was watching a rerun. But we found out it was not a rerun. It was another plane. So we were calling. My sister called me. We were looking for my nephew, who's an airline pilot, now a captain. We finally located him in California. We didn't know if he was flying or what. But we were also concerned about the people and all those lives that were lost, whether it be in New York, whether it be in Washington, whether it be in, I think it was in Pennsylvania. We have to remember those. Several weeks before, I was at a sports dinner, sitting across from one of my daughter's track partners, and we were talking. He was with Aon Insurance. I did not realize that was the last time that I would see him. So we remember. But it is very important to volunteer because we're helping those less fortunate. We're helping those that need a helping hand. We're helping those that if we give a little push to, it may make the world of difference to them. So I ask that you be involved with the Board of Legislators, with the county executive, and with Volunteer New York to serve and remember. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you've heard from all of us. There's no excuse. We make it very easy for anyone to volunteer. You can go to volunteernewyork.org/service. You'll get emails from your county legislators. You'll probably get a phone call from George Latimer, and when he tells you to call us, call us. You will also see, hopefully, maybe you'll even see something in some of our newspapers. All I'm saying is that there's a way to make a difference on this day, and it doesn't take a lot of time or effort, but it will make you feel so good that you took the time to do this. It will add meaning to the day, and I hope that by doing so, it'll make you realize how volunteerism makes you feel and could make you feel at other times as well. So come to volunteer with us on 9/11 and stay and volunteer with us in the community in many other ways afterward. We have time for some questions. We are happy to talk about some of the projects that you're seeing being demonstrated. You can talk to some of our business supporters, government supporters, nonprofit partners, but we thank you for being here today. I think that's the end of the formal press conference. Any questions?
On average, how many people have you had volunteer the last several years?
Where's Nicole when I meet her? Here is the ringmaster. I don't want to get my numbers wrong.
That's fine. I've been on the team since last year, so I can speak to that, but we engage around 1,000 people in volunteer service over the 3 days that we are supporting the communities. And that's through the dozens of ways, right? Right. I mean, we're up in Putnam County. We're up at Pegasus Therapeutic Horse Riding. We're over in Rockland, where we're working with being prepared for the next disaster with Jackie. And then we're also here in Westchester, particularly at Westchester County Center on 9/11, where we get at least like 500 people throughout the day come in, meet their neighbors, and sit down for an hour, hour and a half, and volunteer together. And they walk away, like a lot of families, and they walk away feeling like they contributed something good that day.
Yeah. A follow-up, is there a deadline, or can people walk in that day? I'm a procrastinator, so I don't.
Well, we do try to organize it so that we have materials and spaces for everybody. We prefer that everybody sign up on our website. We do have some walk-ins, and they won't be turned away. We'll put them to good use, but it's really wonderful when we're able to account for everybody and make sure that there's a space there for them that day to do good.
It was mentioned that there's also going to be activities or efforts on September 7th and 8th. How does that differentiate from what's happening on September 11th?
What we do is, this is one of the great opportunities we have with our nonprofit partners to get out into their on-site at their locations. And so on the weekend, we're out. We're everywhere. We're in Putnam. We're in Rockland. We're in Yonkers. We're Mount Kisco, everywhere. So we're there volunteering. And then on September 11th, there are a few opportunities out in the community on site, but particularly it's a day where we bring everybody to the Westchester County Center, and we have 3 shifts of volunteering, about half a dozen projects going on, and we have our drives there, and people will just come in and they're able to get to work and be able to make items that then will be donated to our nonprofit partners.
And we do have projects going on in Rockland. I will say that we are very deeply engaged in Westchester because, as you hear, we have terrific support in Westchester. We are a creative, small and mighty nonprofit, and we have figured out a way to be in Rockland as well. So we'll be at Dominican College.
That's right.
And we'll also be in Rockland throughout the weekend as well. So we work on both sides of the bridge and north, and would always welcome like-minded supporters who want to make sure that we can continue to do this and grow it each year.